This is Genuine Connections, featuring collaborative conversations about community, content, creativity, commerce, and the convergence of media and marketing.
Welcome to a very special episode of Genuine Connections here at Possible 2026 in Miami Beach. I am Genuin CMO Matt Wurst, and I am excited to have two very special guests here with me on site here in the Genuin Suite. And we are going to be talking about a topic that I think overlaps and intersects with all of us, but I want to first acknowledge our guests here and visitors in the room. We are doing this live. So as we know, in Hollywood and maybe in Miami, this is going to be an adventure. So I'm excited to have you guys. Welcome. I have with me Ashan Khan, who's the head of global agency partnerships at Uber Advertising, and Scott Hendrickson, CRO at Firmly. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
How has your possible been? Is it more probable at this point, or is it still possible?
It's deterministic, actually.
Ooh, okay. And we're going to start measuring outcomes almost immediately in real time.
It's been an amazing event.
Okay.
Like 7,500 people here. It's been amazing.
So I want to just let you guys both introduce yourselves, because it's somewhat rare that we have two guests in this conversation. The first on all the way to my right is Ashan.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hey. Thanks for having us, Matt. Ashan, again, I lead our global agency partnerships team with Uber Advertising, and excited to be here, so thanks for having us.
Cool. And I'm Scott Hendrickson, Chief Revenue Officer at Firmly.
Okay, so our topic today that we're going to be talking about broadly, but we'll go up and down the Miami coastline here having a conversation. But we've called this episode From Discovery to Decision, collapsing the distance between content and commerce. And as we've heard throughout the week here, people talking about retail and commerce media, about AI and tech, about how the intersection of consumer behavior is informing and then informed by the technology, the creative, the tools we're all using, the tools that we are building. And in some ways, it's becoming even more autonomous and adaptive than ever, which is exciting. I, though, heard someone say recently that the funnel is dead, and then I heard more people say it, and then I started hearing everyone say it. Have you heard this expression that the funnel is dead in our ecosystem? Is it becoming commonplace?
I mean, look, I think it's the funnel is absolutely evolving. I think if you look back when digital first reared its head, the purchase funnel became coined more of a purchase pretzel, right? You might start online, and then you go to in-store, you go mobile, and the user is moving around in different places. It wasn't just go to a store and be done. If you look at today in a world of AI, the funnel is becoming more, from my perspective, more like an accordion, right? Where if you go into an LLM and you search for a specific product, immediately you have an answer, right? And that answer might be the right answer, it might be the wrong answer, and it gives you the opportunity to buy right then and there. If that's not what the user wants, then it potentially expands back out, right? User looks for more information to say. So I think it's absolutely evolving. It sure as hell is not dead by any thought. And I think if you look at consideration in the media that's needed in order to drive brand awareness, and consideration is still absolutely critical. The question is, how do you connect the upper funnel to ultimately, bottom funnel conversion, which is what I think is evolving and super exciting.
And Ashan, from where you sit, this journey, literally and both figuratively, I guess, metaphorically and in every way, right? Uber and Uber Advertising is all about connecting the journey, the decisions, the discovery, and the experience throughout. It is not linear. The ride may be linear sometimes, but the experience for the consumer is not. So what's changed over the last few years, and even more recently, from your perspective?
Yeah, sure. And picking up on Scott's point, like the funnel is not dead. Brands still need to drive awareness, drive consideration, conversion, et cetera. I think it's the way that it operates. What we see, I think a big difference that we see is the intention and the specificity that people come into the platform with. So the discovery to conversion is sort of shortened, right? You get in an Uber, you're entering the Fontainebleau or Eden Rock, et cetera. So people are coming in with a a specific item in mind, even on the Uber Eats side when they come in to purchase beverage, purchase food, et cetera. So that piece has changed. So the opportunity in terms of like, hey, okay, how does a brand sort of get their awareness or get their message and then help drive a conversion just kind of happens a little bit differently through, whether it's through the content, whether it's through the messaging, or even through the ad products.
And Uber advertising is sitting on a trove of data. You know where I'm going, where I've been, now more broadly, what I'm eating, where I'm ordering from, where I'm helicoptering to. I don't know, is that even still a thing? I'm not sure. But with all of that data, and I'm sure there are so many platforms that are just jealous of the information that you have, how does that change what a commerce media experience and a network can actually deliver versus where brands have kind of been promised something by every other retail or commerce media solution?
I won't necessarily speak against the others in the market.
What's unique and special about
it? Of course,
it
is both sides of the house in terms of understanding what are their purchase behaviors and decisions on the Uber Eats side, and then also on what we call the mobility side. You think about the Rider app, the Black app, what's their behaviors, what are their destinations, what are their trips, and how do we actually help brands kind of connect and bridge both sides of it, right? So if you're a CPG or a QSR brand, there's a whole nother set of valuable insights to help inform your decisions about who do you want to target, what message do you want. Do you want to actually drive them to your app, to the store, or back into Uber Eats to drive a conversion? So it's a really kind of complete and full ecosystem that we can actually bring to a brand and have a pretty interesting conversation around.
And Scott, I know Firmly is built around buying at the moment of inspiration, right? Where is that moment actually happening now? Is there one place, or are there multiple places, or can it not even really be pinpointed because it's happening everywhere and all the time?
Yeah. So Firmly, what we've built is we've created technology that enables a user to check out with a merchant irregardless of where they are. And so that could be inside of a publisher experience where publishers are recommending content instead of redirecting out to an affiliate through an affiliate link and there being 15 clicks in order to ultimately drive a conversion, right? The publisher can now convert the user right then and there. Inside of LLMs, which is agentic commerce, is obviously an extremely, extremely important and topic today, and one that's going to completely change commerce in the future. It can now happen inside of an LLM. It can happen inside of an ad experience. It can happen inside of a vertical shopping assistant like a Wizard AI. And so these are all things that are happening today that Firmly specifically is enabling. And it's just simply making it easier for the consumer to buy the product when and where they want to buy the product, right? But doing it in a way where the merchant still benefits, right? The merchant still remains the merchant of record. The data still flows to the merchant. This isn't TikTok Shop. We are the antithesis of TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop, I mean, you look at the success that they've had, mind-boggling, incredibly huge. The problem with TikTok Shop is that the merchant is not the merchant of record. The TikTok Shop is, and TikTok has specifically said, I'm not sharing any data with any. So the question around lifetime value, if you're a merchant, you want to make it easier for a consumer to buy, but you need to maintain that lifetime value. So I think that holistically, the question isn't whether the merchant should enable a checkout experience wherever the consumer wants to do it. The question is how. And how do they do it in a way that benefits their business while also making it easier for the consumer?
You know, we've been now 48 hours here in Miami, and we're immersed in innovation and relationships and authentic and genuine connections that are happening. But we also hear the word agentic attached to everything. I think I was in an agentic elevator ride. I was in an agentic Uber ride at one point. I can't keep track of it.
Was it really you? No.
Was it? I don't know. I'm here, but is it me? Who knows? Ashan, I guess I'll start with you. From the media side, what does agentic actually mean for a commerce media experience?
Sure. I think it's how are we deploying the technology to make things a little bit more seamless. I think the big piece, and kind of picking up on what you said, is around the measurement side of it, right? And so how do we also, because with these new solutions, agentic versus in a chatbot, et cetera, it sort of further fragments the market. So how do we, as between publishers, between brands, between marketplaces, kind of help push and ensure that we are able to support measurement on all sides of the house, so that for the brand, it's still very understandable in terms of, hey, where's the conversion coming from? To your point on the, hey, how does agentic work within a commerce network? I mean, there's many applications, and you see some of the things that have been announced in the past, whether it's around shop assistant, et cetera. So
yeah, even payment transaction optimization at some point, right? We've heard people talking about, and from your perspective, Scott, like the transaction side, you've built the pipes. What's real today, and what's like 18 months, 5 years out?
Yes,
and like where are merchants even wasting their time?
Yeah, so. I think today, so when you think about agentic commerce today, there's still very much a human in the loop. So like as an example, when we say that we are an agentic commerce platform, what that specifically means is that we have agents that understand how to integrate into a merchant's back end to then surface their product pages, their product catalog, their real-time price, real-time inventory, their checkout into these different destinations. Now, when the user checks out, it's clear as day that they're checking out with Best Buy. The human is pressing the button that says, I want to buy these AirPods with Best Buy. They just happen to be doing it inside of Wizard AI or inside of a publisher. So the method in how we integrate is done through our agents and the tech that we've built, and we surface this inside of agentic channels like LLMs, but it's not an independent agent working on behalf of a user who says, I'm going to Miami, please book me a hotel that's near the Fontainebleau and do it for a price that's X, Y, and Z. Or I'm going on vacation with my wife, please find a spot. Like, if there's an agent that can understand my wife, God bless you, I love you, you're beautiful. I would absolutely love that. I don't think we're there, but we will get to a place, especially if you think about like Uber's use case. I think that, well, broadly speaking, not all shopping journeys are created equal. They're not the same. In the media, they talk about it all as though it's all the same and everything's going to be disrupted in a huge way. For you to say, Uber, please buy me, or I want to order 2 pies from my favorite pizza shop. Like, you've already gone through that purchase consideration. You trust Uber. You know the pizza that you want to buy. And so that maybe you might delegate to an agent. But when it comes to travel, when it comes to clothes, when it comes to anything that requires purchase consideration, it's still very much a human in the loop, I think, both today and also in the future. I also think that, like, as we look ahead several years, I think there's like 2 key things, 2 conversations in the marketplace that will ultimately come together. One is you've got attention, right? Like, how do you get a user's attention in order to drive certain consideration, create awareness, et cetera, right? And there's lots of technology that's focusing on that. There's also lots of technology that's focused on convenience, right? Both things that, convenience, how do you make it easier for a user to just buy, shop, engage, et cetera? Like, 2 key things. I think those 2 worlds will eventually start coming together, where if you're deploying a brand media campaign, why not give them the opportunity to buy now if that's what they want to do? Right now, they're happening in silos, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's you got their attention. There's some context there. If the user wants to buy, great. If they don't want to buy, that's fine too, right? And you can measure it. There'll be 2 different forms of measurement. We're still leaving
revenue on the table because there is this gap between the attention and the actual transaction. So whose job is it to build the solution that solves for this? Is there someone working on that? Is there a right answer, or is it really that's the blue sky right now and where that gap can be closed? It's up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of a collaboration of multiple parties, right? Like, everyone's going to have their own either policy, what they're willing to share from a data standpoint. So it's going to be I don't think it's too different from what groups are trying to do now between agency, brand, partner, platform, et cetera. It's sort of increased collaboration to ultimately, like, all ships will rise if we help show that brand X has driven positive results or whatever the case is, right?
So I want to drill into that
sure.
one bit, because you're working with agencies.
Yeah.
I have an agency background. I know they continue to evolve very rapidly. There is a consolidation, and I'm not going to ask you to comment on any of that, because in many ways, as these moments of transformation happen, agencies are often at the forefront of defining them. When the social media era was first really driving marketing and consumer experiences, it was agencies working with their brands to enable what could happen on the platform. Now here we are again in this new wave of commerce and retail and agentic all colliding and maybe converging in some way. Does that make commerce media easier or harder to sell now that agencies are back in this limelight of and potential for driving opportunity?
I wouldn't say it's harder to sell or easier. I think some of the silos that have existed in this industry in perpetuity kind of are still there, right? And our platform is very unique in terms of, if you think about the Uber Eats side and what it can do for endemic categories on the CPG and on the QSR side, as opposed to what we would say are non-endemic clients, and sort of where they lean into from an ad solution, et cetera, right? So some of those things still have to be addressed. I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder or easier. I think it's the opportunity of sort of how you educate the marketplace and kind of find that common ground, right? So we are talking about, hey, like what's unique, and if we take this very commerce endemic focused approach, again, the opportunity is on what we would say is the mobility side, right? Like you may be a pizza brand or a burger brand or whatever the case is, and do tons of volume and drive tons of conversions within the Uber Eats side of it, but don't forget about the other side. Like those same people are not just ordering on Uber Eats to have stuff delivered or to go and pick it up. They're taking trips in their Uber, they're doing all these other activities. So I think it still comes down to the job of like education, helping to sort of move the ball forward on multiple sides, because you still have clients and so forth where some will say, actually, if it's a commerce or if you're bucketed into retail media, the brand is going to own that. If you're upper funnel, the agency is going to own that. So some of these silos still they still exist, and we're still sort of driving on all sides to move the ball forward.
So the answer to the question, who actually owns the advertiser relationship now, is it depends.
I mean, I think, to be honest, it's sort of always dependent to a degree, right? So it's kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And Scott, you've been part of and through multiple acquisitions and exits, which is an incredible adventure for those in the entrepreneurial space and those in the technology space. And it comes with highs and lows, but it also means being proactive, being adaptive and reactive. At this moment, like where we are and this inflection point that I think so many of us feel, but maybe not able to clearly define yet, what does a merchant or a media company actually need to have in place, whether it's operationally or even technically, before an infrastructure partnership like firmly is and can create like real value for a partner?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess how I'd answer that question is it's to start, right? An old former CEO of mine would regularly say, just left foot, right foot, like just keep going forward. Just start, just walk. You don't need to run. You just take a step. So for those who, and the corollary is a lot of folks on the publisher and the platform side, they don't yet really know what to do with the data. So the fact that they might utilize our APIs to create a native checkout experience, they understand exactly at a SKU level what products were purchased as a result of their ad or the content that they produced, which is a first time, all right, for them. Like right now, if you look more holistic, like more broadly, like through affiliate links, et cetera, attribution is delayed. It takes 30 to 60 days to understand what sales were generated, but you don't know what they bought. If you wrote an article about AirPods and they end up buying diapers, you don't know the answer to that question, right? And so a lot of them don't know what to do with the data to then figure out how to activate it. So like step one is start, see better conversion, see better engagement. Step two is utilize the data as a way to say, okay, for these customers, I can now re-engage them in a more intelligent way and recommend product. I just saw that they just bought AirPods because of the article last week. I just saw the user again. Maybe I should use that data to give them a different product recommendation, right? And you start to understand your users at a true user level, and then be able to service them in ways that you've never been able to service them before, right? Like that's a massive, massive, massive opportunity that doesn't all need to be solved day one. I would encourage them to move very, very quickly.
We call that contextual continuity.
In a world where LLMs continue to eat others' lunches, right? They're take from whether it be publishers, apps, et cetera. They're taking attention, right, from other channels. The only way to survive is to have better relationships with your customers. The only way to do that is to have better data to help understand exactly who they are and what they want, and then how to and service them. That's a huge path. There's a huge opportunity, huge path forward. Not too different than what Uber has, right? And what Uber does. You can see the history, sure. And you guys know how to recommend and use that better than anybody. There's a lot of other publishers, apps, and channels that should be following in Uber's footsteps. They're far away from getting to where Uber is today, but it doesn't need to be in the too far distant future for them to get there, especially at the speed at which the market and this technology is evolving.
So I'll wrap up and ask a timely question based on the fact that we are here at Possible. It is a marathon of meetings. Yeah. It is a sprint in the sunshine. We all come back a little bit sweaty after running between these meetings and waiting for elevators and dodging people in the lobbies. But is there something that you've heard, or as part of meetings, or maybe even someone on a panel on stage, whether it's a CMO or a media lead, that they're saying, that they're sharing, that they're pontificating about, that you're like, yes, this is right. This is what we are getting right about the commerce media space right now, about the consumer experience where we are today? Or on the flip side, is there one thing you've heard, you can user's choice here, that you're like, nope, I need to correct this. We need to get ahead of this. Either one. So let's start with you, Ashan.
Yeah, sure. I think and even a little bit more broadly than just commerce, is I would say like the systems and the data collaboration and how we work together to do exactly some of what Scott was just talking about, right? Like the ability for us to actually help a client make sense of our audiences and our data, match it to their data sets, and how quickly that's also accelerating and improving on the sort of holdco and agency side is an area of opportunity and sort of a massive area of excitement, right? Because then it just kind of helps sort of power the flywheel all that much more faster, and again, kind of helps the whole industry perform better. So again, maybe a little bit geeky, but I am very excited for how the measurement and understanding the different houses and the different data sets are moving to sort of help all parties.
Yeah, so the one positive thing, I'm a positive guy, man. You know what I mean? Like I always got to talk about the good stuff, right? So, but the positive is that everything in the future will be retail media in some form, because it'll be tied back to actual data that the CMO can understand and directly tag to, right? Now, the flip side of that, which I'll say, is we need fewer walled gardens for that to actually happen. So I think that like the vision and what I heard today is like, that sounds freaking beautiful and great and very smart. I'll be very curious. I'm excited to see how the retail media walled gardens ultimately figure out how to play nice together.
Sure.
I think that's a big
That is still a big hard part.
That's a big dream, dude. That's a big dream.
Well, it's a great note to end on, because as you guys know and our listeners know, this is the challenge, this is the vision, this is the opportunity that we're building, and why we're here is to connect everyone across this ecosystem in a way that benefits the brands, the retailers, the consumers, and drives just positive experiences moving forward. So we'll be back here next year, but it's not going to be a full year before we see each other and connect. And there's another, and then another, and then another event where we will check in with one another, but continue to drive progress. But before I let you go, I wanted to just thank you and tell Scott, you've got all the bracelets from all the events, all the venues and parties. What's the coolest place that you've been or the coolest person that you've met? Because I only have a few. You're invited to everything.
I'm not that cool.
I'm left out.
Hiding in his room.
These things they strap them onto you, and then you gotta. I need a knife to get them cut off.
That's right. You go home and you're weighted down in the plane with it.
Yeah. I'm not that cool of a guy, man.
Well,
so.
I appreciate the cool
You are
ideas.
actually. How about you? How about you, man?
Yeah.
Matt fucking Wurst. How about it?
It's look. These are about genuine connections.
There you go.
So I
There you
appreciate
go.
you guys being here,
Right.
listening to me, answering the questions we have, sharing with us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the show.
Likewise.
too,
Wait,
man.
can
Thanks,
we give
brother.
your wife a shout out? Also, it's her birthday.
We sure can.
Wow. There you
Yeah.
Thank you
go.
for
All
saving
right.
the day and maybe my marriage.
Happy birthday,
Thank
Matt's
you.
wife.
Happy birthday, Lee. I love you. Sorry you're not here and sorry I'm not home, but in your absence, I'm spending time with other quality people who are making the world a better place just like you're doing. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
Love it.